Good day, everyone. This is Evelyn Ackah from the Ask Canada Immigration Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited today. I have my friend and colleague and time management expert with us, and she is called Vaida Rissanen. Hi, Vaida. How are you?
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting me to be here.
I'm so excited. And tell us again where you are because people want to know.
So I am in Finland and 5 hours drive to the Arctic Circle. So
Oh
now we
my
have like
goodness.
24 hours daylight.
Wow. I need to come up and see that one of these days. It's incredible. So, Vida is a productivity and time management consultant, and she provides expertise with strategic planning, project management, executive coaching, and business consulting. And she is the founder and CEO of her own company called Plan. I have worked with Vida before, so full disclosure, I adore her. I think she's an incredible resource for lawyers as well as all business people that, struggle with time management. And I thought it would be great for her to join us on our podcast to talk about her services and how she works with attorneys all around the world with respect to their time and their priorities. Before we begin, I just want to give a quick bio. It will be in our show notes. Vida is a specialist dedicated to empowering attorneys, owners, and partners in their journey from busyness to ultra productivity. She has a singular focus on fostering thriving, profitable businesses while preserving healthy work life balance. And she offers a comprehensive 12-week to success program tailored to the unique needs of legal professionals. I completed that program, and I know some of her other clients continue on with her in different capacities. So, Vida, welcome and tell us to start with, how did you get into this?
So I have a background in applied mathematics. I think in numbers and systems all the time. And originally, I'm from Lithuania, and I moved to Finland, where I live now, because I got a position in PhD in applied physics. So I was actually researching the climate, and I was a scientist in
Wow.
Finnish Meteorological Institute. And that I did for about 5 years, and I realized that I don't see myself long term in academia. I don't want to be professor or do anything academic work, so I walked away. And
Hmm.
then I did various different roles. I was a marketing analyst for a very big music company, and I was also in the car import. I was buying, negotiating, and buying and importing cars and delivering them to client. I absolutely loved it. I was working with my now ex-fiance, and while I was doing that business work with him, it was his business.
Yeah.
I saw from inside the real world of inside the business, inside running a multi-million euro firm. And
Hmm.
I realized that there could be systems that would ease the owners and also the team's productivity. And I was naturally really good at that. Even at university, when I was like 22, now I'm 38, I set the goal that I want to finish with the honors. It's called
Hmm.
the red diploma. So I
Yeah.
made a plan, what grades I need to get in these 2 years, and I did it. So it
Great.
was kind of early age. I was very planning oriented. Everything was a plan.
Hmm.
And that led me to see that the skill set, the knowledge, and the interest in time management is something that I can really have my own business around. And I got support. Create Plan is basically stands for create a plan, the
Hmm.
company, because that's what you need to start. And I started my business in 2021, in January of 2021.
In the midst of
Over three
COVID.
years. Yes, yes. And I think like finally I found what I like to do and where my skill set is serving me well and strong skill set. Yeah.
That is so interesting that you found your way from science to the science of time management. I love that. I think
Mhm.
it really shows that you have an affinity for that type of organizing structure, right? Because you see things that way. So when you were talking about the inspiration to create Korea Plan and to become a business consultant on productivity and time management, how did you get out there and find clients? Like well, who are your first and second and third clients? Like, how did that evolve? I think that would be interesting.
So before I started my company, I was 6 years building network marketing. I built two companies, and I'm no longer doing the work. But what it taught me obviously a lot of sales and follow up and being very good, thick skin, growing to people who say no.
Yes.
But my very first clients were actually the cross leg, how they call it, the competitors, leaders that I thought the systems to keep
Mm.
their business on track. And they were my first clients who paid me the money when I started my business.
Mm-hmm.
I was very grateful. So even though I built the big businesses and I hit the career levels again, that was a
Yeah.
planned, but these were my first clients before I started to work with attorney owners.
Mm-hmm. Tell me why you focused on attorney owners, because I think it's such a interesting niche. Why wouldn't you work with any kind of executive? Is there something about us crazy lawyers that we need more help?
So I would say that the field picked me than I was looking after. When I got my very first attorney owner, I didn't know what paralegal was. Like I said, I didn't know a lot of the verbiage. I am not in the legal field. I never been, so I was like as far as I can. So I literally didn't know a lot of the things when my first client explained to me.
Hmm.
And the first client came to me via, I did the 5 day free training, and then she recommended me to others, and then to others, and then I know among our group of people there is one client that really then
Yeah.
introduced me to so many, and that's how I then decided that the legal field is really a great field for me. I love working. I feel that attorney owners, they are very analytical, like to
Hmm.
the point, and we match the energies. I love that.
That's right. I think you're right. And I think you know too, as an attorney, owner, or lawyer in Canada, as we say, owner, there's so much stress because we're balancing being a legal practitioner, some of us who still do that, and then also being the CEO of our companies, of our
Mm.
businesses. And that just adds so much time to our schedules. And so I think we really need the help. Can you walk us through the key components of your uh, 12 week to success program, and how it helps lawyers and owners and partners overcome just the busyness of life? Because I've gone through it, and I think it's also about doing it and then implementing. And that's where
Mm.
sometimes I think we fall short, is we're just learning the newest and latest, but we're not always adapting and adopting it fully.
So what my program is geared towards, I work one-on-one with clients. I don't have a group program. I don't know if I ever have because I really
Yet.
love working. Yeah, I really love working one-on-one.
Okay.
But what my program is geared towards is installing a strong planning basics, because that's what a lot of people they are missing.
Hmm.
So I focus on three pillars that contain that kind of has this foundation. So first of all, on the goal setting or identifying the project. So we have to know where we are going. You might be very good with calendaring or to-do list, but if you don't know what you want to achieve in the next quarter or this year, you will still be mostly dealing with the routine reactive things.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach people how to easily map out any plan, any project that they want, and to make it in the actionable plan so we know the next steps. We are not overwhelmed by the big idea. And
Hmm.
mostly because attorney owners, they're so busy with the clients, they don't have the time to work on the business, and they have it in their head but not really mapped out on the
Hmm.
paper, so to say. That's
Yeah.
kind of the number one. The number two is, how do we effectively plan our days and weeks? Like, how do we prioritize? Because not everything on the list, even if we do the list, is of equal
Hmm.
importance. So that's kind of the planning, the day-to-day, week-to-week planning. And then the third part is, how do we deal with the calendar? So with the big thing, what I see people do is they start their day, the business owners, they start their day with the meetings emails, and then they hope that at some point in the day they will have the uninterrupted couple of hours where they can do this important thing. And
Mm-hmm.
usually that never happens. And in between, meetings, the Zoom calls, it's in those pockets of time, it's very, very difficult to do anything major. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how people run their calendar for weeks, months, or years. So we kind of change that where we start our day with the most important work first. It's the most difficult thing to do for not only lawyers, but for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But this is critical if we want to really change the foundation of how do we execute our business.
Yeah.
And this is what my program is built on, to help install the foundations. I'm very passionate about foundation, not the very advanced things, but really the basics, because with the strong basics, you can go in very, very far,
Yeah. I
and you
love
may not
that.
even need
You don't need a
advanced.
lot. I mean, I think, you use whether it's Motion, I think is that what it's called? Notion,
Notion.
Notion or Sana and, a notebook, it's about having the systems in place. That's what you definitely taught
Mm,
me is to actually use the systems we have because we have so much technology. It's like a lot of lawyers don't use them or know how to use them properly. So I think that
mm.
that's a really valuable insight that you're providing. And so, in your experience, as we know, we're always running around with our hair on fire. What are some common challenges that legal professionals face when it comes to time management? And how does your program address the challenges? What do you think are the most common excuses we make as to why we're not more organized?
So I would say several. So one
Okay.
is that a lot of attorney owners that I work with, and you probably can relate, they are still in production half or fully. So they don't have the time to work as a CEO on the business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of one thing. The second challenge is with emails. So some of the attorney owners, they're saying that they get like 200 emails and they spend so much time in the email. So
Mm-hmm.
as we go through the programs, like second part of the program, we also implement effective email management techniques where it's not only how do we structure the emails, the inbox, but also how do we deal with those emails? Because nowadays emails became like instant messaging and we drop everything and we go kind of to
Yeah.
answer,
Yeah.
even though we have a lot more important work to do. And the third one, I would say in general, the calendar. So I go back to the point what I mentioned that the calendar is so um, um, disorganized in a way that we have meetings over meetings over meetings, whether they are in alignment to where we are going or whether not.
Mm.
That it's not possible to do a lot of work. And what a lot of attorney owners do say to me that all they do is they deal with the fires.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of they spend their days dealing with all the next fire they need to put out.
Yeah.
And we kind of minimize, and with a lot of techniques that I do, we reduce those fires because honestly saying a lot of the fires are self-created because
Mm-hmm.
we remember something, then we didn't write it anywhere, we forgot, and then we remember when it's already too late, we have to drop everything what we do, and then now it's fire.
I agree. I agree. And I think learning, what you've taught me was definitely building in that time. I've had to really teach my executive assistant. I'm still working on it because sometimes I'll be like, well, can you do this consult? Can you do that? And it blends into the time that's been set aside for me to do my deep work. So I know that,
Mm-hmm.
you really believe in the importance of finding time for deep work. And, I read
Mm-hmm.
the book as well and at your recommendation and understanding that work that adds real value. So it's so hard, even with the people around us, to keep that time for ourselves. That's something I find is still training and finding the capacity to say, you know what, this is absolutely unshakable. I need to keep this
Mm-hmm.
time because it's so easy to let other things fall into our schedules without approval or without consent. So how do you tailor your productivity solutions to meet the unique needs of individual clients? For instance, what if somebody has ADHD? Do they have a different need or ADD? Do they have different struggles with the calendar, or if they're a parent and they also run a business, like how do you tailor it based on each individual client?
So some of the things they fundamentally stay the same, whether
Okay.
you are a parent or you have ADHD. I had,
Yeah.
I think, 3 clients with ADHD
Yep.
and the system worked.
Okay.
So fundamentally, things they stay the same. If I can tell to you that if whether you're a parent or ADHD or a busy entrepreneur, if you learn to get your most important work done first thing in the morning, that will be beneficial no matter if you now started a vacation or
Mhm.
you're running 3 businesses. So those fundamental aspects, they stay the same. Now, before I
Mhm.
start to work with the client, I have an extended questionnaire. You mentioned how do I
Yep.
tailor the program? And that questionnaire helps me to see not only what tools they use, because I always adapt to the tool that client
Yes.
uses, not to add more tools unnecessary to learn,
Mhm.
to how even they feel. So I see which aspects of my program they have the most struggle with. And even now offer longer duration. If I
Yes.
see that we need more time, then it's not going to fit in the 12 weeks that I have. And that usually always the guess is right, because let's say we have a very, very busy calendar, that's a couple of weeks may not even be enough to deal with that calendar.
Mhm.
So, so it's all when I work one-on-one, I see that client's uh, situation, and I see it's for me, it's very easy to see
Mhm.
the missing aspects, and then we a little bit tailor the program.
Okay. No, I like that a lot. So can you share some success stories? Because I think the people that we know who've done this program, including me, they're looking at it as well as not just time management and better enjoyment of life, quality of life, but also growing their businesses. So what
Mm,
kind of direct impact have you seen with some of your clients in terms of how they've been successful in the program and how it's affected productivity and obviously further down the line, their growth as a business owner?
mm. So first of all, when I work with the client, my primary focus in the beginning is the revenue, to help client achieve the revenue they want. So
Hmm.
from these like numerical achievements, a lot of my clients reach record revenue month, record revenue
Hmm.
quarters. I just had 4 clients now who achieved their goals of May, where we
Great.
overpassed the May revenue goal. I have clients who pay off credit cards. I had client who paid off $70,000 for the first
Hmm.
time in the client's adult life. So a
Wow.
lot of clearing the debt. Now I have client who paid 5 out of 11 debts this
Wow.
year. So these kind of more numerical. Now more, I would say, abstract.
Hmm.
People obviously they feel less stressed, they feel more in control. I had one client who was saying that I have significantly so much more time that I am now tempted, and I'm afraid that I would not do the mistake to add more on the plate. So I say to people that even though the system works, you run into the risk of burning yourself, because now you are
Hmm.
so productive and so effective that you are tempted to add even more on that plate, and it's
Hmm.
ultimately the same thing. So I also had 2 spouses saying that one spouse was saying 2 years ago that I saved their marriage because now the partner is at home. So partners
Hmm.
are able to spend more time at home with their children, having weekends off,
Yeah.
not working any longer on the weekends, sleeping longer. That's kind of I start my program with finding out how much people sleep in the first place, and really putting that let's sleep more, because if you are not sleeping, you cannot really be
Yes,
that
you can be
effective.
productive. Yeah.
So these kind of few, I had one client who went through the decluttering part of the program, and she decluttered the whole house. They put the house on sale. They sold it in 2 months. So it's
Wow.
many different,
Hmm.
like
That's
many
great.
different results.
It must be very satisfying to know that you're a part of these people's successes, whether they're personal and professional. It must really feed that soul, that part of you that is looking and receiving and seeing the results of your hard work. That must be great for you.
I love it. And always somehow when I speak about this time management, even now I'm like shaking because it's always when I speak about the topic, like I'm like shaking myself. So it is. I love because obviously I'm in Finland. We have 8 to 10 hours difference between depending where people are
Hmm.
in Florida or California. So I always wake up every morning because I have my system accountability. So people are sending me pictures of their to-do list.
Yes.
So I wake up with those pictures like why I paid off the debts, why I hit the record revenue. And
Oh,
it's just sometimes I have also like we are humans, you
yeah.
have a sad days
Hmm.
and my clients really lift me up. We just
Yeah.
recently lost our dog 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I was just saying to my client that I feel really like it was difficult.
Of
And
course.
working with the clients just lifts me up myself. Like working,
Hmm.
seeing how they achieve their goals also re-inspires me to work on some really big goals that I have.
Good,
It's
good.
kind of this synergy, and I get the
Yeah.
energy from the clients a
Oh my
lot.
God. Well, I think it's incredible what you do. I think for us, we're always, as at least in the circle of lawyers that you and I know, we're always looking for the next best thing, how to do better, how to achieve, how to improve our lives in any possible way. And so what I really like about your program is it's not just about the next shiny object, because I think a lot of us are always looking at the latest and greatest, but we haven't even fully maximized our programs or our technologies or our systems that we have already in our firm. So what I think you really brought to us and to me was the sense of let's use what we have. We use Asana. Let's use what we have. We have your calendar. Let's use what we have as opposed to let's go get more and more and more and then just cluttering up our minds
Mm.
with more and more stress. Do you find that your employee or sorry, your clients have less stress too after the 12 weeks? Do they feel like their stress has been lightened?
So for 12 weeks, not always is enough,
Hmm. Hmm.
just because of many things are happening in many different clients' lives.
Yeah.
But as I work longer term, or some people they need, I sometimes work like 4 or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending what that client needs. I recently had the client that we worked, I think, 8 weeks, and it was significant. That was the client who said that I have so much more time that I kind of
Hmm.
don't know what to do with it effectively. So it does, although it's how people implement the system,
Hmm.
because it's also the timing has to be right.
Yes.
Like the match needs to be right.
Yeah.
Their life circumstances also may impact. You can really, it's hard to be productive if something difficult is going in life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So as much as I can say that yes, we go there, it's not always, I cannot say that it's always after 12 weeks.
Yes. Yes.
Some clients I work with for 2 years just because they want that accountability, they want to stick with it.
Hmm.
We have like touch different areas, and it's all okay. Like we are just going and doing,
Yeah.
but it's I cannot say that everybody hits that mark after
Hmm.
12 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I
But that's
agree with that.
definitely part of it, that it's a result of the program to also reduce the stress,
The
which is
stress.
important also for
Oh,
me.
it is. I mean, for health and everything and well-being. How did you come up with that 12 weeks versus 16 weeks versus 8 weeks? What was that magic for you that you thought this is a really good 3-month period? Is it just the quarterly basis that you were thinking about it on?
When I started my business, I hired a coach who I worked with for 16 weeks, and she
Mhm.
helped me to build it. So she helped me to really dig into what my clients need. I interviewed a lot of people
Mhm.
before, like 43 people I interviewed
Wow.
before I even launched it. And somehow, for me, I look at it logically, like what logically makes sense.
Hmm.
And that program did not change that much after we created. I've tested, of course, and then I adapted, but it's a logical way. And 12 weeks, it's kind of where people, it's a short enough that you achieve significant results and keep
Yes.
the momentum, but long enough, the opposite, short enough to keep the momentum, long enough to achieve the results.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then after that, people get to know me. They see the system. I many times extend with the people or on
Yeah.
different offer. But that felt for me that it's a good number of weeks where people
Hmm.
can stick to.
Okay. I think that's very helpful. So in terms of email management, which as you already alluded to is overwhelming these days. And, I think everybody should have somebody helping them with their email because it's just such a waste of time. It kind of sucks up our days, and people use their email sometimes as their to-do list. How do
Mm.
you help professionals manage email overload?
So first of all, it comes a mindset. It's very important to understand that email work is the same work, and I'm very happy that you brought it up because now a lot of people who are listening, they can hear it.
Hmm.
So the email work is the same work as any other work you have. What now email turned into, it's instant messaging. So while we
Hmm.
send the email and we do not expect people to answer within 24 to 48 hours, we drop everything and right away go into that email. And it's even better if we have all the notifications that's
Oh.
coming on the phone and then it's a tab open. So, so I don't forget or I don't I react like right away.
Hmm.
So when we work with the email, we work in two different stages. First, we work externally to organize. So we organize the folders, we reduce the incoming email flow
Hmm.
because I've noticed that a lot of attorney owners they use the same email to register for all the newsletters. And I think it's a big mistake
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter how good you are if you get like 200 emails and 70% are marketing, it wastes so much of your
Yes, it
time. So
does.
kind of we deal with that first to reduce the incoming flow of emails.
Hmm.
And then we work internally. So I have the system to teach what do you do when you finally are ready to work on those emails? Uh, what do we do? How do we deal? When do we deal with them so that we are not always reactive and slaves to the inbox?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, it's a lot. I think you're right. I mean, having help now with my executive assistant in my inbox and my calendar, um, separating what's urgent, what can wait,
Mm,
it's definitely helping. I don't think it's perfect. It's always, there's a work in progress, I would say, because you're always trying to train and create better systems. And we use SaneBox as well. We're trying to just get rid of all those things that we don't need to look at. But I think limiting time where you check through the day, maybe couple times, 2, 3 times a day for short periods of time. That's something else that you've shared is a worthwhile practice versus
mm,
being in it all day long, because it does
mm,
add to anxiety. And I think lawyers as a whole tend to have more anxiety because we don't want to miss anything and we have deadlines. And that's a natural way of practicing is to be worried about missing any deadlines. So the way that you've
mm,
helped so many attorneys with organizing, time management, email management, I think also helps them to maybe reduce the anxiety that they carry and that pressure because they're
mm,
they're in full control of their schedules. They know where they have to be and when they have to be. So I think this has been an incredible practice for you to be sharing with us. I know I benefited from it. I'm still using it best I can. I love my planner. What was the passion planner? That's the other thing
yes.
that you introduced me too, which is really nice just to have a beautiful book that you can put your activities in and helps keep you organized in addition to the electronic. I like the physical, I think a lot of people like to write things out as well. Um, so Vida, are there any last minute tips around like who would be your ideal client? Where do they have to be in their life to be able to connect with you and maybe start their own 12-week program? Is there a time that you think is always better for them, or just any time is good to start?
So I would say that if you are not on the track for your revenue goal, if you feel overwhelmed by your calendar, if you feel that you are always reactive, you have these great ideas that you want to work on, but you never get that time. If you're
Mhm.
running multiple businesses, it's very important to be organized when you're running multiple businesses. I know some attorney owners, they have other businesses, or
Yes.
so that's also, if you work very long hours,
Yeah.
weekends, there is a better way.
Yeah.
So, so that's obviously a right time to work, to kind of go through the program.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, if you just want to be good with productivity. So one thing what I want to say to your audience
Mm-hmm.
is that as much as we speak that I am the productivity coach, you not necessarily want to be more productive. It's not what you should be after. You should be after to being more effective,
Mm-hmm.
because productivity is efficiency. It's doing the thing right. So you could be very good at managing emails, but how those emails are moving the needle forward. So productivity is like, from the factory, from production, where we put the machines and they do faster,
Mm-hmm.
quicker in the same time. What you want to be effective. Effectiveness means doing the right thing. So doing the thing right and doing the
Mm-hmm.
right thing.
Yeah.
Effectiveness means that you identify what's important, you know your priority, you work strategically on your goals, and you use your time wisely. You not necessarily work 10 hours, maybe you work like 5, 4, or 6, but you do way more than other people who are just spinning in the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very good. I think everybody could benefit from your expertise, and I think that, I highly recommend you, and that's why I wanted you on our podcast, because I feel like you're offering an incredible service. And these days where people feel like they're just overwhelmed with everything. And I even love how you teach us how to block off time even with our phone, with our iPhones, and to do different things to kind of stop that reactionary behavior. It definitely helps with being more effective as a lawyer,
Mhm.
as a business owner. So I want to really thank you, Vida, for being on the show, because you've definitely given people a lot to think about. And those of you who are interested in reaching out to Vida, will have all of her details in the show notes, her link to her website, and email to contact her if you'd like to learn more about her 12-week program. And if you're ready to sign up, I highly recommend it. And if you'd like to speak to me about my experience working with Vida, I'm very happy to give a testimonial as well. So I want to thank you, Vida, all the way up there in Finland, for joining us on the Ask Canada Immigration Podcast. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
So I would love to just add, thank you, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And if you are interested to speak with me and you reach out and you tell that you heard from the podcast, I give
Mhm.
you a special offer
Oh,
as a thank
I
you.
like a special offer.
As a thank you to really having me here, and as a thank you for those of you that you reach out. So feel free to reach out, even if you don't know if you are ready. Even the financial situations may not be where you want to be.
Mhm.
Feel free to reach out, schedule the call. Let's talk. I would
Yeah.
love to hear from you, and I would love to see, with wherever you are, is there something that I can help to start changing the way you do your business? Because
Oh,
ultimately, this
love
is
it.
the last thing what I want to leave from my side. Ultimately, you want to think about that. This is maybe not a nice thing to talk about death on the podcast,
Mm,
but when you will die, the things you take with you are the memories and the
mhm.
character.
Yes.
And what you want to spend your time with, you want to spend time sharpening, changing your character.
Yes.
And
I
that's
think
what
the
we do.
people that work with you are very much growth-minded people, and not just financially or revenue, but even personal growth. People who
Mm,
see um, opportunities as opposed to problems. I think that's the kind of person I think that probably would gel the best, is those people who view that they want to build their character, improve their lives. And, I always feel like, what's going to happen when I'm on my deathbed? Did I spend enough time with my children and my husband?
mm.
Was I present? Not just how much money you made or did you build a business. So I think being able to incorporate all aspects of our lives is really what your program focuses on. And I really value that. So I want to thank you once again. I love that you made an offer. And for any of you who are listening to this, and you'll see all the information to contact Vaida directly at Korea Plan. Reach out, and if you do, just mention the Ask Canada Immigration Podcast and find out what your offer could be. And I hope that you've enjoyed this podcast and that you share it with your friends and family and colleagues so that we can get more people learning about how to use time effectively and how to enjoy life more. Thank you so much, Vaida.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Okay.